everybody. This is Shane Claiborne. Thanks for listening to the show. There is always a lot happening in the world. It's hard to put out all the fires that are getting started, but thanks for tuning in. And for a lot of you, you're tuning in because you take your faith and your spirituality very seriously, and not just using it as a ticket into heaven, but you're using it to fuel the change that we want to see happen in the world right now. Others of you kind of deconstructing some stuff. You've not had a great experience with religion or institutionalized Christianity, and means all the more that you're listening, because you're all in for a treat today. We've got one, I kind of like this show because it gives me a chance to talk with people I just like so much. And one of those is Ben Cohen, who is many things, but he's one of the, we can firmly say that he is one of the people that has made the world sweeter. Not just because of his ice cream at Ben and Jerry's, but also because of the work he does around militarism and war and just trying to build a better world. We've connected on that for a whole lot of years. It's always good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, great to be here with you, Shane. Let's
And if
uh, let's work together and get the world to be a little more just.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and you've been busy. We were just talking about it a little bit, but there's a whole thing, a whole lot of things that we're teaming up on, stuff that we've done in the past. If y'all haven't seen, we did a whole like variety show that became a little readable book and stuff called Jesus Bombs and Ice Cream. That was a bunch of years ago, and since then we've done all kinds of events together. But you've recently been very busy, man, with the ice cream company, which is not just about making good ice cream, but about trying to build a more just world. And some of those core values that you and Jerry started it with have been kind of under attack, right? Or being lost in the translation of ownership. So tell us what's been going on. I've been tracking you, but I don't know if everybody else has been, and how people can support.
Yeah, well, we definitely need all the help we can get. When Ben and Jerry's was sold in the year 2000, it was something that I was opposed to because I was afraid that if it was bought by another corporation that didn't have a social mission, that the social mission would die. Uh, it was good to see that it did not die for the first few years, for the first 20 years. But now Ben and Jerry's has been sold to the Magnum Corporation, and they are methodically disempowering the independent board of directors at Ben and Jerry's that is responsible for the social mission, the quality of the ice cream, the products we put out, and what they're doing is illegal. We, there was a legally binding agreement that formed this independent board that specifically was determined to last in perpetuity.
Mm.
Now the people that are running Magnum are they've been slandering the chairman of that board. They've been violating the terms of this legally binding agreement because they don't want Ben and Jerry's to continue to take stands for justice that they deem as too controversial.
Mm.
So
Mm.
they've prevented the company from taking stands in favor of a ceasefire in Gaza, in favor of free speech, in
Mm.
favor of the right to protest, in favor of supporting Black History Month, in favor of DEI. And, it's, I think that they've kind of been Trumpified. They're essentially just going along with the Trump administration, and they're using the same sort of authoritarian tactics that Well, we don't care what the law is. We're just going to do what we're going to do because we're big and we got a lot of money.
Mm,
So
mm.
we've launched the free Ben and Jerry's campaign because
Free Ben and Jerry's. Yep.
free Ben and Jerry's, yeah. You know, because we need to get Ben and Jerry's owned by a group of socially conscious investors that are willing to buy the company, that support the social mission. But Magnum, which is not only the name of the ice cream company, but it's the name of a chocolate covered ice cream bar on a stick. Magnum refuses to sell.
Mm,
Instead, what they want to do is destroy the brand. I mean, they don't want to, but that's what they are doing. And
mm.
um, and you know, Ben and Jerry's has been in the forefront of business. The idea for that a business needs to care about more than just maximizing profits.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to keep that alive. Uh, because business is so powerful. Uh, you know,
Mm,
business, it's the most powerful force in our society. It determines who gets elected to president. It determines, or to any office really, through political donations, and it determines the laws that get passed through lobbying, and it determines the news we see through ownership of the media. So Ben and Jerry's is standing up to that idea that business has no responsibility other than to make money, and
mm.
uh, and we've been quite profitable doing it. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I know it feels very personal, not just because it's your namesake, but because these are things that you believe in, to your core, and part of the ice cream was the means towards that bigger end, and some of the things that I think, some folks that might not know about are like all the different flavors that have done so much good to fuel movements on the ground. Like I think empowerment was one of them, right? And then there's I think I proposed to you the death by chocolate, not by state, at one point. But all these different flavors. You made one time that had all the chocolate floated to the top, and you had to
yep,
crush it and get it back
uh,
down.
yep.
But
Bernie's yearning. That was for Bernie Sanders.
that's right. Push the chocolate back down into the ice cream. But you've been doing one right now, because obviously if this was hitting on all cylinders with the passion that you and Jerry share, you would be doing a lot of flavors around Palestine, and countering the bigotry and hatred and genocide. And but you've been, I mean, you don't wait on others. You kind of went at it yourself, right? Had some kind of watermelon flavor that you're working on,
Right.
right?
I made my own. I made, on my countertop ice cream maker. So it's not available at your local store, but it was a flavor suggestion from, just a regular old person. I mean, we had so many flavor suggestions that were really good, and this one was Freedom Fruit is the name, and it's a watermelon-based sorbet with chocolate flakes
Mm,
and fresh mint leaves.
mm.
Um, and it's watermelon because the Palestinian flag had the same colors as a watermelon, but the Israelis wouldn't let the Palestinians fly that flag, and so they're flying watermelon flags instead.
Yeah, it's powerful. And um, when you think of the good that's been done and the loss that is, like, as it sort of erodes the passion right now. By the way, you heard it here first, y'all. You can try to buy this Ben and Jerry's. You got a couple $1 billion or something, and free it up. But not just buy a bucket, but buy the whole thing. But when you think about like some of the flavors and the like core values, I know a lot of those, but say just a little bit more about like the mission of the company when it's at its best, and what you kind of hope for as you keep you know, reaffirming that mission that you all started with.
Well, Ben and Jerry's has two slogans. One is justice in all its flavors.
Mm,
So that's what we advocate for. Uh, there's a quote from Cornel West that's very meaningful to me, that justice is what love looks like in public.
Yes.
And and I think really that's the way I see it. I think that's the way Ben and Jerry's has seen it until it's been muzzled by, smothered and suffocated by the Magnum Corporation. Um, so that's one, and the other one is peace, love, and ice cream. And
Mm.
for a company whose slogan is peace, love, and ice cream, uh, for Magnum to refuse to allow it to call for a ceasefire in Gaza is
Unbelievable. Yeah.
abhorrent.
Mm.
It just points up that, despite what they say, I mean, they say, "Oh, we love Ben and Jerry's social mission. Oh, we really believe in Ben and Jerry's. We like being activists." They don't, it's words only.
Mm. So let's get busy, y'all, and do all that we can to support Ben in this mission to free Ben and Jerry's, and to raise our voices, um, and hold to that mission. And I think it raises I mean, it's not just about Ben and Jerry's. I think there's so many other companies that you've inspired and started that are not just about making a product or a profit, but are about fueling movement that frees and protects people and the dignity of every single person. So we'll keep on it with you and keep following you. And for folks that are just listening in, the voice you've been listening to is Ben Cohen, a dear brother and friend, and been real busy in the world, not only trying to reclaim his own company's mission at Ben and Jerry's, but also with everything happening in the world. I wanted you to share a few of the you've had these really public. I mean, it's kind of public art. It's a provocative. It reminds me of Dr. King when he says that we've got to make injustice uncomfortable so that it gets exposed, and people who have the power to change it have to respond. We got to put some fire in their bones, and you've been doing that. I saw the thing at Disney World, and then we had the melting ice. So give people a few snapshots of those, because I think there's more in the works. But this is all a part of the Up in Arms project, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll get to the Open Arms Project, but before we leave Ben and Jerry's, we want to give listeners an opportunity to
Yeah.
help us out a bit. And all you need to do is go to freebenandjerrys.com. And there you can find a letter that you can click on and send to the board of the Magnum Ice Cream Company, telling them what you think. I mean, if you don't want to write your own, there's one there right for you. And follow the campaign on hashtag Free Ben and Jerry's. So, but you were getting onto, oh yeah, the things that the Up and Arm campaign is doing. So one of them was right before Hiroshima Day, we planted a doll that was kind of covered in ashes that held up a sign that said "Remember Hiroshima," and we planted it in Disney World or Disneyland? I keep on forgetting which is which. Anyhow, it was the one in
Yeah.
California. So, and put it on the "It's a Small World After All" ride.
Mm. Yeah. It was really haunting and eerie. I mean, I think that was the point, but it was really provocative. It was really powerful too. Like when you watch it, it reminded me of, did you see Banksy's Dismal Land, that he created, it was kind of a dark, dystopian form of Disneyland, is kind of doing a similar thing, but yeah,
No, I hadn't seen it.
Banksy. So, I think it was called Dismal Land. Yeah. But, yeah.
So yeah, Up in Arms did that, and then another. Well, we also built this huge structure in Washington D.C., which was the amount of money in $100 bills that represented the yearly expenditure of the U.S. on nuclear weapons, and it was $100 billion. That's $100 billion a year. That's how much we spend on nukes,
Mm.
and now we're planning on building a whole new generation of them. We can already blow up the world, at least 10 times over. So they
Mm.
just want to build more. Um, and with that money, with that same amount, with half that money, uh, you could provide childcare for every kid who needs it. You could provide, services for homeless people.
Mm.
You
Mm.
can do a hell of a lot more than that. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Amazing how much money that is when you use it for.
I saw that. I was coming into DC on a protest and vigil there. Actually, I think it was the week that we were arrested for praying in the Capitol, but it was still there. So I thought I had missed it, but then I walked out of this train station. I was like, yes, there it is. It was powerful to see that. And then you also had the democracy made of ice that melted, right? And my
That's
buddy Bill
correct.
Lamar and some others were able to be there for that. That was powerful, though. So, yeah. How big was that thing? Tell people about it.
And well, we put up that sculpture. I mean, I don't remember how many tons it weighs, but it was a huge sculpture made out of ice of the word democracy. And it wasn't in the winter. And so it started melting. And it was just, it captured what everybody's been feeling.
Yeah.
Our democracy is being destroyed. Uh, we got a guy in the Oval Office who doesn't care about what the laws are, and you know, and has essentially transformed our democracy into an authoritarian state
Mm.
where he can go around killing whoever he feels like killing. Uh, he can take food out of the mouths of children and essentially use it to build weapons. He can, uh, continue the genocide in Gaza, despite the fact that most people are opposed to it. So it's not really a democracy anymore, and we need to do everything we can to get it back because he who is silent consents. And
Yes.
uh, this guy is doing it in our name and with our money.
Yeah. And incidentally, you've also really been an opportunist in trying to distort Christianity and um, bring a lot of folks that profess to be Christian into the mix. Even at the same time, like, Trump has been signing Bibles. I don't know if you all have seen this, but he's signing Bibles as if he wrote it and selling them for $1,000. And it's just like you can't make this stuff up. And I don't know if you saw this, Ben, but my buddy Rob put together a Bible. This is the gospel according to Trump, and it's got redacted everything about love and justice, and the 2,000 verses of scripture that talk about the poor and vulnerable and the widows and orphans. And so there's not much left of the gospel in the Bible when you take out the part about compassion and love and justice. But this is, as I've heard you say, and I think part of why we like teaming up together, you and I, is that it's a economic violence, it's economic crisis, but it's also a moral and spiritual crisis. And certainly as a Christian, I see my faith, really twisted and distorted to try to justify things that are so overtly anti-Christian or unchrist-like. But we have a broad movement of folks that are compelled by different faiths or no faith at all, just by their heart and conscience. But I don't know if you want to say a little bit more about why this is something that's not just about left and right, but right and wrong, and why it's about the really the heart of our and soul of our country.
Yeah, in a lot of respects, I believe that's the core problem with our country is that there's a spiritual void. Uh, I what the president is demonstrating is that if you don't like something or you don't like someone, kill them. And what he's demonstrating is that there's certain people of certain colors or certain races or coming from certain countries that are bad people, so kill them. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have this rise in
Yeah.
violence and mass killings around the country.
Hmm.
Because I mean that's what Trump is modeling. He's going around the world uh, killing people he doesn't like. Um, and the other thing that impresses me is that it used to be people would go around saying, "What would Jesus do?" I mean, I used to hear that phrase all the time. You don't hear it anymore
Right.
because I tell you, I'm a Jew, and even I know Jesus wouldn't be doing any of this crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, that's why, in a lot of ways, that's why we started Red Letter Christians, over 10 years ago, was because we saw these competing narratives of Christianity. But as Frederick Douglass said, um, between the Christianity of this land and the Christianity of Christ, I see the widest possible difference, and so you can't reconcile these things with each other as much as people try to. The gospel of Donald Trump sounds very different from the gospel of Christ. And I mean, they've even overtly mocked it, right? The idea of loving your neighbor, turning the other cheek, and I think that old saying that we've got to be careful who we admire because we become like the people we admire. And so when there are many Christians who like Donald Trump more than they like Jesus, or this is a deep problem. So I don't want the time to slip away before I say, I saw the interview on Tucker Carlson, which in and of itself was a little bit of a surpriser. But then, you kind of landed the plane talking about how you love Jesus, and gave a little shout out to Red Letter Christians. But it was almost like you didn't quite know what to do with that. And was like, well, there you have
I
it,
mean, the
folks.
amazing thing on Tucker was that everything we talked about, we agreed on. I mean, the only thing we talked about was spending too much money on the military and having too many
Yeah.
wars. But he ended up asking me what's my spiritual practice, and said, I don't know, I don't think I really have one, but I love Jesus Christ. And the newspaper in Israel, that was the headline. Cohen says he loves Jesus Christ.
I loved it. I thought it was wonderful because I think that it's interesting because I sometimes think, if I mean, I find a lot of times I have more in common with people that are not Christians than I do sometimes with people that say that they are Christians, but seem to really betray the things that were at the heart of Christ. And I like how C.S. Lewis, he was a great writer, but he had some good theology too, where he said, the world doesn't exist in these absolutes of 100% Christian and 100% non-Christian. He said, there's a lot of folks that say they're Christians, but they seem to look less and less like Jesus. And there's other folks that, don't have anything to do with Christianity, but they seem to be all about love and the things that are at the heart of Scripture. And so, like, it's we just kind of keep leaning into the love, man. And so, yeah, but I got the little picture you sent me of there's a quote by Teilhard de Chardin, I think it was, that was on one of your rooms. And I don't know. I just think it's a gift to be with you, man. And we're as we sometimes say, we're harmonizing but not homogenizing. We're not exactly all identical, but we're singing the same song, and it always feels like that with you, brother. And we got some things on the horizon. You're going to be coming to Philly a couple of times. We're going to hang out, but we're also going to gather not just at the calling out the Pentagon, though you've done that in a lot of great ways. We've done that together, but the profiteers from war, and Lockheed Martin is one of the biggest of those. Its headquarters, one of its headquarters, are right outside of Philly, where billions and billions of dollars are made off of war and militarization. Even the weapons being used in Gaza, many of them are manufactured. The weapons being used to fire on the ships, the Hellfire missile systems, and some of those are made right here outside of Philly. So we're gonna gather out there and raise our voices, lift up the names of the lives lost, and you're going to be with us this year. Might bring a little ice cream, isn't that right? That's what the word on the street is.
Great. Yeah, looking forward to it. I've been wanting
Yeah,
for a lot of years, and finally we're going to make it happen.
yeah, we are. Anything else on the horizon or a way that people can follow you, bro? You mentioned the Free Ben and Jerry's. Anything else before we sign out?
Uh, well, there is my social media at yobencohen.com, and there's hashtag free Ben and Jerry's.
Boom. There you have it, y'all. Thanks, buddy. Our guest has been Ben Cohen,
Yeah.
and you'll hear more from him. But follow him, check out what he's up to, and free Ben and Jerry's.
All right.